Chapter 3, V-I-R-U-S. It is still Friday. Dear First Grade Journal, we just came in from recess. We are waiting for Mrs. Weller to talk to us about germs. May started holding her nose again. And also Sheldon put another paper bag on his head. Today is an interesting day in room 1. From Junie B., first grader. Just then, there was a knock at our door, and Mrs. Weller came in. Mr. Scary went to meet her. Mrs. Weller, I'm very glad you could come back, he said. Room 1 is still worried about what happened to Roger this morning, and we need some advice about how to stay healthy. Mrs. Weller's eyes glanced over to Sheldon's bag head. Mr. Scary's eyes glanced there too. Some of us are a little more worried than others, he said kind of soft. Mrs. Weller went to the board and she printed some big letters. V-I-R-U-S. Virus, she said. These letters spell the word virus, children. Have any of you heard the word virus before? Lucille jumped up. I have, she said real excited. My Nana grows viruses all over the house. You should see our house, nurse. Sometimes we have fresh viruses in every single room. For a second, Mrs. Weller's face went funny. Then all of a sudden, a light bulb came on in her head, I think. Oh, I think you mean irises, Lucille, she said. Irises are very beautiful flowers, aren't they? But viruses are tiny little germs that can make people sick. Lucille started fluffing her hair, very embarrassed. Then she fluffed and fluffed and fluffed, until finally she sat down again. Mrs. Weller kept on talking. Everyone, there's a stomach virus going around school, and I'm guessing that your classmate Roger has caught it now too. May nodded her head and pointed at herself. That's why I'm holding my nose, she said. See me, Mrs. Weller? I'm being smart by not breathing the germy air. Mrs. Weller looked kind of puzzled. Yeah, but you're still breathing, May. The air is simply going in your mouth instead of your nose. May looked shocked. Mrs. Weller smiled. I'm sorry, dear, but I'm afraid it just doesn't help to hold your nose, she said. In fact, one of the easiest ways to catch a virus is to touch your nose with germy hands. May didn't move a muscle. She just kept on sitting there looking surprised. Finally, I leaned over and tapped on her. I think that means you, nose squeezer, I said. Lenny and Herbert laughed real loud. They enjoy my humor. After that, Mrs. Weller printed 4 rules on the board for how to stay healthy. 1. Do not share straws or glasses or forks or spoons. 2. Do not share food or drinks. 3. Keep your hands away from your mouth, eyes, and nose. 4. Wash your hands often with soap and water. She put down the chalk and glanced over at Sheldon again. Oh, and I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but you can't really hide from germs either. So, for those of you wearing paper bags on your heads, there are probably thousands of germs in there with you. For a second, Sheldon sat as still as a statue. Then all of a sudden, he shouted real quick, "Ah!" And he quick pulled off the bag and he zoomed straight to the sink. Also, he washed his hands and face with soap. He washed his hands and face with soap. Plus also, he washed his arms and his legs with a paper towel. After that, he took his shoes off to wash his feet. But Mr. Scary said, "No, we're not doing a full body scrub here, bud. Your hands and face are enough." Sheldon looked upset. But germs can get on other places too, he said. Like what if somebody drools on your arm? Or what if you get burped on? Or what if you fall down on top of a sick person and he sneezes germs right directly up your nostrils? Mr. Scary rolled his eyes. Come on, Sheldon, now you're just being silly, he said. I've been around a long time, and believe me, no one has ever sneezed germs directly up my nostrils. After that, he took Sheldon's hand and he sat him down again. Pretty soon, Mrs. Weller had to go back to her office. Before she left, she took us to the sink and she showed us the right way to wash our hands. Room 1 lined up and washed very perfect. Then we waved goodbye to Mrs. Weller. We were sad to see her go, because now we had to do schoolwork probably. Only here's what we didn't even know. Mr. Scary had a happy announcement, and he'd been waiting all day to tell us. Everyone, I know we had a pretty rough morning, but I think I have some news that will cheer you up. In 2 weeks, our school is having an event called Parents' Night. Have any of you ever heard of Parents' Night? Lenny quick raised his hand. I have. My sister told me all about it. She said Parents' Night is the night when parents come to school and they poke their nose in your business. Mr. Scary did a frown. Yeah, well, I don't really think that's the best way to put it, Lenny. Your parents don't come to poke their noses in your business. Parents are interested in what we do here at school. So sometimes they like to come to the classroom and spy on us. said Jose. Butt in where they don't belong, said Shirley. Invade our own personal space, said Sheldon. Mr. Scary closed his eyes a second. Then he walked back to his desk real slow, and he sat down in his chair, and he ran his fingers through his tired hair. All right, I'll get right to the point, he said. This year for Parents' Night, I thought it would be fun to do something special, so I was wondering how you would feel about putting on a play. My ears perked up at that word. A play? I said, kind of thrilled. A play? Said Herbert and Shirley. A play? Said May. Then all at once, room 1 started clapping and clapping. A play! A play! A play! Yay! Yay! A play! We shouted. I springed out of my chair. I know a lot about plays, Mr. Scary. On account of last summer, I went to a real, actual children's theater, and I saw a play about a mouse, and that thing was a hoot, I tell you. So maybe we can do a mouse play, too. Mr. Scary smiled. Yes, well, I'm sure a mouse play will be fun, Junie B, but since it's October, our play is going to be about Christopher Columbus, he said. We celebrate Columbus Day this month, remember? So Parents' Night will be perfect timing. I thought it over a second. Then I shook my head no. Nope, sorry, I think a mouse play is still the way to go here, I said. Mr. Scary said thank you for my opinion, and please sit down. I tapped my foot, kind of annoyed. Then I gazed my eyes around the room. Okay, who would rather do a mouse play? Please raise your hands, I said. Mr. Scary snapped his fingers at me. Snapping means the conversation is over, I believe. I sat down.